So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. I think we've established we're on week 9 of the sessions. Today, we're going to be in the very capable hands of Karl Braley, who's going to be talking about OrCam. We've entitled this OrCam, What's Behind the Camera. Very interesting wearable tech that we're going to hear all about in just a moment. Before we do that, though, next week, we have a special webinar Wednesday on social distancing. So we're actually taking a break from technology. Those of you who are on the webinar Wednesday emailing list may have seen this already. We're taking a break from technology because we realize that as we're coming out of this pandemic and this lockdown, we're coming into as what they're calling a new normal. And how does a blind person try to stay 2 meters away from somebody? How will it work, for example, in shops? What are the challenges? So how is all this going to work? We're going to talk about this next week in Webinar Wednesday. We've put a panel together of visually impaired people and people who work in services to support visually impaired people. It promises to be a really interesting session next week, all about social distancing. If for some reason you don't have the link for that, please let us know. We'll send it to you. It's also on our sightandsound.co.uk on the main page, and we will be going on our social media. And the following Wednesday, we're going to be looking at Braille music and music technology. If you're interested in that, that's going to be in 2 weeks' time. Just to remind people, we are using the webinar style, the webinar end of Zoom today, which is slightly different to a meeting. So as we mentioned just before we started, everybody is muted by default. If you want to raise your hand, you can do so by pressing Alt and Y on the computer, on the PC rather, Command and Y on the Mac, or activating the raise hand button on your mobile application, which is usually found inside the More menu. And Karl and I will get to you as we go along. Karl is a very informal guy, and he has said people can ask questions as we go through the session. So I think it's going to be great. I'm certainly looking forward to learning a lot about OrCam today. I think I said last week, I always thought that OrCam was really for people with low vision. But when I saw Karl showing it to somebody last year, it kind of made me rethink a little bit about how this technology could be potentially useful to people who might be blind and who may have previously had vision, I think in particular. So let's hand over to Karl. And Karl, as always, welcome back to Webinar Wednesday, and thank you for your session.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good to be here. All those other things I could be doing at this moment in time, pretty much sitting in exactly the same position, doing exactly what I'm doing now. Good afternoon. Yeah, so what we're going to go through is, as Stuart mentioned, it is a completely informal demonstration. So what I'm hoping is you guys will lead it as much as me by asking as many questions as you can. Any information you want to know. I won't claim to be the world's foremost knowledgeable person on the OrCam, but I do know quite a bit about it. What you may be wondering is, I mean, we're running this presentation. Basically, Sight and Sound, we're still an OrCam reseller at present, and we hopefully will still carry on selling them. What we are doing at the moment, though, is, and there is a main point behind this, is we do have stock that we are selling off. With the current climate, we are looking at not carrying as much stock as we can. So we are actually running a bit of a special on the OrCam at the moment. So it's around normally around £2,700 for the My Reader, £3,500 for the My Eye. We're currently pushing the My Reader at £1,995, and the My Eye was £2,550. But they literally, as soon as we sent the promotion out, they were offered at £2,550, and the 4 units we had left on the shelf went within seconds. So you can kind of understand how quickly and how easy these units do go. The My Readers, we had, I think, 13 left on the shelf, and we're down to 7. And this is running this within a short amount of time. So if anyone is interested, picking up a bargain as well at the minute, get in touch with the office, and the guys will really be able to help you. Right, so moving on, obviously for those guys with sight and the ability to look at the video, I will be running a live demonstration as well. So I've just spotlighted my camera at the minute, and what I'm going to do is, if you bear me 2 seconds, I'm just going to switch view to another camera I have running. which should give me now the option. So for those that you are actually able to watch it at the moment, I now have the OrCam in my hands. Now, just a quick chat from you guys. How many of you, I just want to see a quick hand up would do actually for now, if you could. How many of you already know about the OrCam and what it does?
So you can raise your hand with Alt and Y. 7 hands at the moment, 8.
17, 18.
So I'd say about a third of the people in the room.
Oh, they're dropping down again. Now they've changed their mind. No, that's brilliant. Thanks for letting me know. So basically, for those guys that don't actually know about the OrCam is developed by a company based in Israel. Now, these guys are immense at technology. They've got so many people that sit there developing the product, knowing exactly what they to do. And the way it's come on since the version 1 is phenomenal. Now, the unit I have in my hand is a wireless, completely wirelessly charged unit. You literally sit there. The device is around 2.5 inches long by about 1/2 inch deep and then maybe an inch wide depth. Its predecessor had a 4-inch by 1 inch by, what would it have been? About another 3-inch battery pack connected via quite a thick cable up to a camera arm. So obviously, as you'll be aware now, that these units have changed massively. I mean, it went from a version 1 to a 1.5 where they changed the camera units a little bit and the connections onto this version 2, which, as I say, is phenomenal for what they've done. So basically, the first and foremost point of this device was to read printed text. It has the ability to capture any printed text, depending on the size. I've had it reading shop signs from 40, 50 yards away. And I take this back to one of the demos I did quite a while ago when this version came out. I was in an internet cafe in Wolverhampton doing it for some council bods there. And I sat there and I was reading a notice on the window that was facing out. As I snapped it, it said boots. And the guy with me said, well, it doesn't even say boots on there. And then he realised, I said, have a look across the street. And bearing in mind, this was across 3 lanes of traffic. And goodness knows how many people it had actually read the shop sign. Then it went on to read the text that was actually on the note in front of me. So distance reading and reading text in general, at the minute, I don't think there's anything like it. It really is such a clever piece of kit. What I'm going to do is I'm only going to go through, like I say, I've put this down to pretty much me showing you guys how it works. I'm not going to go into all the settings and changing settings and everything unless I'm asked specifically to show someone how to do something. So what we're going to do, we're just going to pretty much go through the basics of it. So I'm not sure how this is going to pick up. I'm not going to put it on my glasses as of yet because I'm trying to still keep it within the camera. So what I've done there is,
the text seems upside down.
That's because
Read it, rotate the page and try again.
There you go. It's just told me the text is upside down, albeit it may be the way I'm holding it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip it on the glasses. I'm going to lift the document or look down a little bit.
About US solutions for blind or partially sighted people and
Well, that only read a small percentage of the text. That may be just down to the fact that I'm trying to look on a camera on a screen at the same point of trying to point my head in a completely different direction. Now, being a man, that means I need to multitask. And trust me, that really does not work very well.
page 7 desktop magnifiers. Page is 8 to 9 zoom text magnification software.
Right, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop that. That's my fault that it's picked up the second page as well. So basically what it started doing is reading down this page. What this can do is, right, we'll go through the functionality to start with. You have several different ways for this to actually capture an image. Let me just put the other camera on so I can get my mugshot up instead of that one. basically what you can do from this point is you have the ability to point your finger, and it uses your fingernail as a reference point and takes an image. What you need to do is the moment you hear the camera snap, you remove your hand from the screen, from in front of the camera, and it will take as much as the screen of the page as it can see. Another option is to touch the side of the device, and I'll go through this in a second. It acts as a trigger and it will capture anything it sees in front of it. So that could physically be as much of a space as it can see. So if you're in an open area, you capture. There is also a function for more automatic reading. Now, this can be set on a timer delay. So you can get a piece of paper lined up in front of you. The device will recognize there's text there, and after a certain amount of allotted time that you've set it to, it will capture and read. But what this device does and what it has with regards to buttons, for those of you that can see the screen at the moment, I will try and get that a little bit clearer. It's just the lighting in here. On the back of, we'll go through the device. I'll tell you what, let's go through the device. So on the back of the device, we have two magnets and a power button. They're spaced apart. The two magnets are about 1 inch apart, and then just to the back end of the device is a power button. It is quite flush, but with the sense of touch, you can actually feel where it is. Now, start turning this on initially. You'll press it, long hold. You'll feel it vibrate as it kicks in. And as it starts to boot up, you'll hear it bleeping. It will just do a few bleeps, and then it turns on. And I'll tell you what, if I pause it.
Suspending. Press again to shut down.
I'll just wait for it to suspend, and I'll release it from its suspension, and you can hear what it says when you actually turn it on.
Suspended.
So this is what happens when you turn it on.
Waking up.
And it didn't.
Battery is 94% charged.
So basically what it's doing is it's turning on, it's giving you an update, and it's telling you what is there. Now, when that's turned on from the beginning, what it will also do is tell you if it's connected to your Wi-Fi, but we'll go through that again in a moment. So there's your power options. On the back of the device, OrCam came up with these really clever magnetic charging ports. So basically what it is a tiny little nubbins of a charger that clips into the end of the device. And then when you use your charging cable, it has a magnetic connector on the end. So when you plug it, get anywhere near.
Charger connected.
I hope.
Battery is 94% charged.
Hopefully you heard the clip. It clips on, it starts to charge straight away. So that's that. There is also a lanyard that comes with it. It is very advisable to get this lanyard attached and used. Obviously, with the device being so small now, it is a very easy thing to put down and lose. And obviously with the cost of them, you don't want to be losing something like this. Or maybe for our benefit, it's good if you lose them because you have to buy another one. For your benefit, not so good on the old bank balance. Right, so if we move on to the other side of the OrCam now, so now we're actually onto the external outer facing when it's clipped onto the glasses. Now on this side, there's a little blue LED that will stay on while the device is active. When it's starting up, there's a little light that flashes just below that, which will flash green or red. Now, just down from there on the device, there's what they call a touch bar, sensor bar. This is about 1.5 inches long and gives you the ability to slide your finger up and down, touch, or anything. So what I'll do is I'll just slide my finger quickly from back to front just to give you a rough idea.
Volume max. Volume max. Volume down. Volume up.
I don't know if you can hear that little clicking as well as it's doing it. That's just giving you the reference that it's actually doing something. Now, so from this little sensor bar, I can touch it just by gently tapping. And you'll hear there, it took a picture. It won't capture anything because it's kind of pointing at my sink at the moment. So hopefully there's no text over there. But what it will do, it gives you the ability now to capture everything. So what I'm going to do quickly, I'm just going to get it just to read something. I'm just going to show you a couple of the functions.
We just had a really quick message. If there's any chance the volume could be increased, or could you hold it maybe closer to your microphone?
Yeah, I'll have to. What I'll do is I'm going to clip the mic on it. There's a better idea. As you can see, look, I've got a little mic there, so hopefully we'll try.
They demonstration means that our solutions are the best.
That sounds
available.
better.
What's more, they're simple to set up and easy
Is
to
that better,
use.
Oren?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Solutions for
Right.
blind or
So what we can do from this point, obviously it's a little bit weird for me now because now I'm looking at a microphone as well as a camera and it's magnetised on there. I'm having a mare. Right, so basically what you have now is you have a unit that's set up to read text. Now this is just one of the functions of the function of the My Reader, the basic version. It is designed purely to read text. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to capture the image just below me a second.
available. What's more, they're simple to set up and easy to use. About US. Solutions for blind or partial.
Right. Now, what I've done there is I've captured the image, but I've managed to now control what it's doing. So halfway through this, I've just double tapped the device and it's paused the text. I don't know if you can hear that bleeping. I'm assuming you can because it is right by it. That's just basically telling me it's in a different state. Now, from that point, while it's in a reading mode, you can change the volume. It gives you the opportunity then to go up and down. It won't tell you it's doing it, but you can obviously tell it's getting louder.
Partially sighted people and
now
those
the
with
double
learning
tap,
and reading difficulties,
I've now
working
enabled
in
it to
unison
start
with
reading
private
again.
individuals,
Now from this point as well, by
charitable
sliding my finger
organizations,
from the back to the front,
and we help our users fully. Our product solutions
I can
have been
now start
specifically
moving
designed
line
to
by
improve
line through the
quality of
text
life
until I
at
get to the
work,
text I
at
want.
study or in the home. Volume max. Your specialist, a lower personalized service to each of our customers in their day-to-day activities. Why accredited in each of their skipped one line of unreadable.
Right, I'm just going to stop that a second. To stop the text as well, you just clip it, just tap the side, exactly the same place. Or what I will show you in a second when I've got my glasses on, I'll go through and just quickly put it on the other camera just for a second. It's quite weird doing this. Right, what I'm just going to do quickly is I have a screen set up here with some text on it, not turning my camera off. I have a screen, you just got a nice view of my kitchen, and I've got a screen set up just here with a document I produced recently for something. So what I'm going to do is just quickly look over, touch the side.
Sound, Topaz XL HD and Topaz PhD desktop video magnifiers. Hello, my name is Karl and welcome to this Sight and Sound Technology demonstration. Sight and Sound Technology are celebrating.
So as you can hear, it's reading away now, but another control that we have on here are the gesture controls. As I mentioned about pointing, I can also hold my hand up as if to say stop. It will take a pic, it will end the reading straight away. It won't pause, it won't do anything, it just stops there and then. Right, hang on 2 seconds. Let me just get it back on the camera. Sorry about this. I have to fiddle between two different cameras, which is not necessarily the easiest of things to do. So basically there, I have the ability there to touch, stop, pause, fast forward, rewind, change the volume while it's reading. Now with the reading functions, this is pretty much what it does. Like I say, you point and click, you can point and things a long way away and it will still try to read it. With this ability on here, then you can read shop signs, street signs, labels, packets. It will pretty much read any printed text that you've got. Right, I'm going to pause it there just for 2 seconds, just to see if anyone's got any questions, Stuart.
Okay, so we haven't any hands and nothing going into. Oh, we have some. Oh, we have hands going up right now. Okay. Let me see where the hands are raised. Takes me a lot longer to do this with
Right, I'll let you just, if you could just sort that for me just for 2 seconds. I've just got to do something very briefly, as in.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to see whose hands are raised. So we have a question on adjusting the speed of the speech from Monique. So that can be adjusted. Yeah, speed can be adjusted. Speech of speed can be adjusted. I'm just waiting for Karl to be ready, and then we can take some questions. Karl, are you ready to take some questions? I think we don't have Karl just yet.
Sorry about that.
You're okay.
The call of nature, it would come at the most.
Oh, that's all right. These things have to be done. So I have Fatih. I think you're first on the list, so we'll switch. You should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Would you like to ask your question?
Oh, hi, it's Fatih here.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I tried this OrCam. I think 2016.
Okay.
In London was an exhibition, and I remember was wired one, no wireless one. Sorry. And what is the difference between that one and that one and this one now, the new one?
This one's tiny, mate, in comparison.
Yeah, when the 2016 was about £2,000, but because of the exhibition was discounted to £1,600, and now sounds like more expensive.
They've changed the technology no end. I mean, when you think about the size of the last one, the size of the battery pack that came with it, I mean, if anyone could see what's on my screen now, it's not far off the size of these rechargeable power blocks. I mean, the unit was, like I say, about 5.5, 6 inches long by 1 inch deep by about 2.5, 3 inches wide, connected to a cable and then onto glasses.
Yeah.
That technology has now been shrank down from that size into something not much bigger than a thumb drive. Having that ability to do that, the costs do tend to go up quite considerably.
That means you don't have the cable at the moment, isn't it?
No cable at all. The only thing I have attached to this OrCam is a lanyard.
Oh,
so
right.
it will work completely away from any cables, or if you are out and about and you do need to make sure the battery is going to be there and available for you, you can take a you know, like the power packs you use to charge your phones. You can take one of those.
Yeah. And where is the speaker? Where's the speaker? The speaker
it's just in the end. There's a little tiny speaker right by the closest part that goes to your ear when it's connected.
Right, by the ear, yeah.
And it will also connect to Bluetooth. So you could have, say, if you are blind, you've got a dog, you're walking around, you could have one earbud in, and it Bluetooth to that. So if you are wanting to take pictures and stuff, it'll do it. And obviously, if you wanted privacy while it's reading, in an ideal world, you'd have it connected to something.
And the glasses is still the same one or different one, smaller and
to be fair, it comes with multiple connections anyway. So what you can do is, even if you've got dark glasses you have to wear out and about, we can find a way to fit them to them. I mean, I had one customer that wears the wraparounds. Now, we couldn't get one of the bands big enough to fit it. So with his permission, what we did, we actually super glued one of the attachments. I cut all the ties off it and super glued the attachment actually onto the side of his glasses. So there's a way around everything. But yeah, they will go on any glasses pretty much.
And the last question, quick, the storage, how big it is?
It doesn't store anything. There's no memory in it.
Store the pictures.
As soon as you've captured a document and you take another one, the previous one's forgotten.
Oh, but before, I remember you used to take the pictures, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. I'm going to go through the My Eye functions in a moment where you can do the facial recognition and everything.
Oh, the facial recognition, you need a space, isn't it? You need the storage for that, no?
And it's still not storing in photos then, it's still doing it in code, so there's nothing really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they wouldn't hold up to 150 faces, but it's still not taking up a lot of the capacity in there. The majority of the capacity in is for updates and everything else.
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right, Fadia, thank you very much. Thanks a million for your question. Now we have Mary had her hand raised. So Mary, you should be able to speak.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. The brochure that Karl is using is quite interesting because it has reverse contrast in the top right-hand corner, and it also has two separate columns at the bottom. I'd be interested to know when he has time to let us understand how the unit works with those three different presentations. So regular print across a page, columns, and reverse contrast or pictures.
That's fine. Yeah. With a lot of, well, we'll start with columns. Columns are no issue for it at all. It's bread and butter. Newspapers, hold it up, it knows. They put specific line breaks in to make you aware as a person that it's a different column. And it also enables the camera to realise that there's a break. All it has to be is a certain gap, so it knows that it's not continuing that sentence. With regards to contrast, now it's the same with some magnifiers. Now there are some things that it may struggle to read with, and what I'm going to try and do now, I'm just going to see if it will pick this up. Oh, I went to sleep.
Product refinement and innovation means that our solutions are be available. What they're simple to say and easy to use. Other is other be.
So what it's done there, it has actually messed up a couple of the words. But what it's done is it's tried to pick out as much as it can. And generally when you snap it again,
to continual product refinement and innovation means that our solutions are the best available. What's more, they're simple to set up and easy to use. Some blocks.
Now you see, the second time I snap that, it's almost like it's learned itself that it actually may not have got it right the first time, and the second time it's read it exactly as it appears on the screen.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. So we have Trev Lyons. Trev, you had your hand up, so you should be able to speak.
Sorry about that. I accidentally had it up.
That's okay.
I think of a question anyway. So I've demonstrated these things in the past. I haven't used one for a little while, but one common question people used to always ask was about support for the software. In that, I think historically, OrCam would give you 2 releases of the software, so the current release and one more upgrade. Do you know, is that still the case? Sorry if it's a complicated one.
No, that's fine. I might even sneak a quick question if he's still in here. He is in here. I might. We have an OrCam spy in at the minute. He's not a spy, really. I can see Tony Boylan lurking down there in the chat box. So what I might do is even steal his knowledge. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. And with them being a wireless update now, I know as soon as you connect it and there is an update, it will actually do it itself. Mr. Boylan, would you like to... Let me see.
You might need to just unmute Tony. Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Tony, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Good. Karl, to answer your question, the devices come with a 2-year warranty, and included in that 2-year warranty are software updates as they become available.
Yes.
So when you plug your device in to charge it up, it automatically connects to your Wi-Fi, and it checks to see if any updates are available. If they are, it downloads them and installs them automatically. So for example, during the last 12 months or so, we've automatically downloaded updates to all our users that added features like additional languages, the ability to read barcodes, the ability for you to speak to the unit as well as it speak to you, so you can control some of the functions with voice commands. So as those updates become available, they are downloaded and installed automatically. With no, you don't have to worry about logging onto a server or making sure it's connected. It just does it automatically.
Thank you.
Okay.
I thought as much, but I weren't sure if it's changed because I haven't spoken to anyone for so long. I didn't actually know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, when new versions of product come out, like, you know, it's the same like with when you buy a car. If a new car comes out, that's a whole different thing. But in terms of the product that you buy, as we continue to enhance that version of the product, we do issue those software updates, so they're included in the 2-year warranty that comes with the purchase.
Brilliant.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Thanks for your contribution. And thank you to Trev.
Right, I'm going to take one off the chat just for a second.
Yeah, and then I'm going to go to another hand. Yeah.
Donald's asked, it strikes me that this device is best suited for older students. Do you know what? It depends. The reader version can be used by anyone. My youngest is about 4, I think. This is a totally blind child. The money was all funded by their parents, so it was really easy for them to get hold of the funding. And as far as I'm aware, the lad's still using it. So, and it's, there has been a multitude of different age groups. Yeah, I mean, I think the youngest is 4 and the oldest, I think, was 103. So there's been a vast age difference. But to be fair, as long as someone has dexterity and the ability to control their hands, their movement, and where the camera's pointing, there really isn't any age limit on what it can be or who can use it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna run through these really quickly. Monique, yes, you can change the speed. You can change it from. I have it quite low because it's from when I last demoed it, and people do ask to turn the speed down. This will go from ridiculously to up to. So yes, you can adjust it. That was my great demonstration of how to change the speed.
Carl, we actually answered that one while you were gone out of the room, but you answered it far better than I did because you did the sound effects as well. So
thank you. Did you do the noise and assistance to help?
No.
David, is there any noise or assistance to help you find it if it falls? No, that's why we have the lanyard. It's completely and utterly recommended to make sure that lanyard is connected. Because obviously then you've also got something that's about 18 inches hanging off the back of it if you do drop it to be able to find it. I wouldn't, whenever I've done a setup, because obviously all of these devices, just for your information, obviously it's slightly difficult at the moment. Everything's hand delivered and you're trained on there and then when they are delivered to you. So I make sure this lanyard is connected and I won't leave unless it has been. So you might have me there for 10 hours until I manage to persuade you. But generally what I've done before I get there, I set it up and I've already got the lanyard connected. Michael, Enrique, light conditions, anything. It's basically got its own built-in LED lights now. So any light conditions, if it knows it's too dark to actually capture the image, the LEDs will come on. So in theory, if it can see something, albeit pitch black might be a little bit difficult because it won't know anything's there. But even in the darkest area. Oh, Anthony's just put something on. I forgot about that from using the app. There is an app that can be downloaded for the iPhone and iOS where they have actually put my Find Device button on there, which will use the Bluetooth within the device. I did forget about that. But yeah, there you go, you see. I knew it was a good idea to have Anthony here.
There are some more hands raised, so I'm going to go to Oren, regular Webinar Wednesday attendee. So Oren, I think you should be able to speak, I hope.
Hi guys.
Yeah, we got you.
I forgot to raise my hand there for a second.
I know how it feels.
We do take a long time.
I just wanted to ask Sue one stupid question. I suppose is it using information from the cloud when it's taking an image to detect what that is? The second question, which kind of surrounds that, is can it detect or can it read an image? And the third question is, can it read like a moving image. So if you were out and about and you were standing at a bus stop or a train station, if you could look in the direction of the bus coming or the train, would you be able to point the OrCam and get the feedback on what bus number it is or what train is about to arrive?
Obviously, I don't suggest anyone steps out in front of a bus to take a picture, but yes, it would actually pick up on the text. It has no issues picking up on the text at all. As long as, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are limitations to everything, but the way it scans, if you can take the picture quick enough, it's snapped it within a millisecond. So it has the ability to pick it up. What was your first question again? Sorry, I do apologise. My head is...
Is it running off to the cloud to get feedback?
No, everything's contained within the unit. The software is an OCR software. It'll be a mixture of various different softwares. You know, I don't know if you're aware of OpenBook.
Yeah.
That we use. I mean, that's got a mixture of several different text-to-speech formats in there. It uses different companies' software to perform, and that is running it directly through the PC rather than going off anywhere. So everything it uses, it's not using any database that's cloud-based. It's using everything that's actually installed within the device. So if you're in an exam or anything like that, it'll only read what it sees. It has no ability to gather information from anything else.
Wow. Okay. So how does it, to ask another kind of stupid question, how does it read a barcode, the information, if you were in a shop and you...
That's all pre-installed information. So as it is with everything with a barcode, and if you remember, barcodes don't have any best before information on them. Now, barcodes are created pre-release to the shops. So every product, say a tin of Heinz baked beans, for example, has exactly the same barcode, but there'll never be the best before date is only printed right before the device is the shipment is done. So the information is all there. That's updated, preloaded, and will come through with updates. If OrCam get an update to barcode lists and whatever, when you connect this to the Wi-Fi, it will tell you if there's an update available. It won't necessarily tell you what for, but it will go forward and update accordingly.
Okay. Okay. Thanks very much, Karl.
No problem.
Thanks, Oren. Okay, I just want to go to Ed Bates has his hand up. Ed Bates, the friend of the webinar Wednesday, another regular attendee. Ed, you should be able to speak.
Sorry, that was a mistake. Actually, Karl answered my question earlier on when I wanted to know the difference between my reader and my eye, and I should have lowered my hand, so apologies about that.
No problem. That's no problem at all.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks anyway, Ed. Okay. Sorry, I just want to see other hands we have here. I'm not as quick as Karl is with this.
Oh yeah, we've got Michael. Let me do see if I can get Michael in. Hang on. Hang on, Michael.
Thanks, Karl. Thanks for asking the question about light. The other question I had was, you say you can connect it to your Wi-Fi. How do you enter in the information for the password?
Basically, what you'll do is you create it via OrCam's website. Let me get me off the big screen. I can't be doing with that. Basically, what you'll do is you'll go on their website. There's a part that sets up the internet. So you'll enter your password, Wi-Fi name. So mine's BT Herbex6 blah blah whatever it is. Then you'll enter the password below, and what that will do is that will generate a QR code. And then what you do with that is you snap that image with your OrCam. The OrCam translates that QR code and creates a Wi-Fi connection for you.
Right. Okay. So you have to go on to the OrCam website. The other question was, you mentioning iOS. Is that app available on the Android Play Store?
Yeah, it's Android and iOS. Okay. Yeah, it's available for both.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Karl.
Thank you.
Thanks a million. Okay. We had also Stuart Beveridge has a question. Stuart is another regular friend of the show, as they say. Stuart, I think you should be able to unmute yourself. Perhaps not.
Is that me on now?
You're on, Stuart, yeah.
Ah, perfect, perfect. A question, I think this might be for Tony from OrCam, if that's okay. Is there any more information on when the next version, software version of OrCam will be available? Because there are some really, really exciting features, upcoming features that are planned.
I don't even. Is he...
So we might need to. I don't know. I've seen Tony.
Oh, he is still here. I've got it. I've got it. It should be there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. We're continually developing and enhancing the software. A lot of that is enhancing the existing features, making them more power efficient, making the reading more accurate, etc. And obviously, in parallel with that, we are developing not only new features for the existing product, but also new products. So some of what you may have heard could appear on the existing product. Some may be on new versions that are still in development. But I don't have any timescales to promise you today.
Okay.
Well, that's that sorted. If we got, is that okay, Stuart?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks. Yep.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. All right, let's. Who else have we got? Let me scroll down here. Will.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall. Oh.
Hello. How are we?
We got
Very
you.
well.
Sorry, what was the question?
Didn't you have a question, or did
No.
you just leave your hand up?
Did I just leave my hand up? Oh, sorry, guys.
That's no problem.
Sorry, mate.
No worries, mate. No worries. Right. You're paying them as much attention as I am then, Will, which is really good. It's not just me then. David Carrington. Mr. David Carrington Porter, sir. Come on. It won't unmute.
I think it just takes a sec to...
I think he might need to unmute himself.
You might need to unmute yourself, David. It may give you an alert that you
Some
might
of
need
them
to
do lock down themselves, don't they?
Yeah. If we can't get to you, David, you can type your message in the chat, and we'll try and find it. We'll get to it there.
Right, I've got Gary Ellis. Hi there, Gary. Did you have a question? Can't unmute that.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
we got you.
Hi. As on most OCR software and everything else, has the OrCam ever been tried to detect handwritten text or anybody's handwriting as yet? Some of the software struggles with that.
It won't pick it up. I've managed to, in between lined paper, write in complete perfect block capitals and managed to get it reading. But as of yet, I've got no idea if and when or if it ever will. I mean, I know you have seen AI that will read handwriting. That's using a slightly more powerful processor from the iOS system, and camera as well. I think that needs a minimum 8 million megapixel camera on it to be able to read. So that OCR technology in there is phenomenal with handwriting. It even read mine, which is phenomenal in itself. But yes, as of the moment, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you. Question on chat from Donald Digan, another friend of the Webinar Wednesdays. Is only text recognized? Can it cope with maths/science notation?
It will read whatever it sees. So it will pick up on symbols, but as in with regards to reading it out as an equation, I can't see it actually being possible because it is literally just picking up on text. So it does see. I mean, it will read, if you put a symbol on there like 10%, it will read the percent sign. So it will read all the symbols. To be fair, I've never actually tried it on a full maths equation. So what I'm going to do, as you can do with all live television,
So I suppose this could be somebody in a classroom who might be pointing this at a board or looking at it, yeah, an equation or something on a piece of paper.
Right, I'm just going to try this. Look, you've got me doing it now. I'll tell you what, where's my camera? Obviously, my calculations aren't going to be as in-depth as what somebody else is looking for, but I am going to try it. Oh, let me get my camera on there. Right, we are going to try this. All I've managed to put on there is literally 40 plus 40. Apart from it's now reading all the, hang on. Oh, there you go. I don't know if you actually heard that. It did actually read out the sum. Now, I guess I could try some different formula or whatever on there, but it read that out as it should do. 40 plus 40 equals 80. Obviously, it's not math. It's not worked out the math problem itself. I've put the answer in, but it has actually read it as an equation.
Yeah, I was impressed it read the punctuation. Thanks, Donald.
You heard that, good.
Okay.
Right, have we got anything else?
I didn't see any other hands up. I think we've got to all
There
the.
is still 5. Hang on.
Oh,
Andrew Summers. Bear me a second. Let me mute that one. Unmute. Are you there, Andrew?
Hello.
We got you, Andrew.
Hiya. Hi, Cole. One quick question. Somebody with dexterity problems with the buttons, how easy are they to use?
This is where it comes down to, literally, like I say, having the ability to point is not necessarily the easiest of things. Obviously, with dexterity, hand, body function, there is a way. I mean, I set up. I had a lady that was nigh on paralysed from the neck down.
Right.
What I ended up I mean, she was really keen to get something that would read for her. I wasn't exactly overconfident with selling her something like this. But what I managed to do was I set it up in like a little book chair, set the device to automatic read, and she knew where she was pointing it because she could feel where the book. So she'd tilt her head to the side, the camera would catch it, and it'd read it. Now, even if you can gently touch the side, it will snap a picture. So if you were in dire need of something to do it, you can put it in a book chair and enable it to read from that angle. But I mean, there are other devices. If it's not a wearable you're looking at, what you can do is you can, there are other devices where you can put a piece of paper underneath and either have a remote control where you can press a button or just bang a big button on the top of it for it to snap. So there are easier things.
Yeah. The other quick question I've got is somebody who doesn't own a pair of glasses of themselves to wear, they don't need glasses because their eyes are not good enough to wear glasses. Can you, or do you have, or does it come with its own specialised glasses?
Yeah, it has a set of window glasses in the box. Every OrCam comes with its own glasses already in there. So all they are some black rimmed, basic looking specs with window glasses in them.
Right. So they just look like ordinary, like sunglasses, or
just clear glass glasses. Yeah, I mean you can. I mean, to be fair, if you wanted, you can get someone to go into somewhere like Anne's Accessories and pick up a pair of glasses for £2. You can get any glasses you want, and the brackets will go on there. So yeah, there's not an issue there.
Good. Okay. That's great. Thank you. Thanks.
Right, I've just got a question from Julie Nettlefield in the chat. Hearing aid cochlear implant use with or without a loop settings, or does it read across tables? Right, your first part with hearing aid and cochlear implant use, I have a young lady based in Stamford. She's got a cochlear implant, and what hers does, it enables the OrCam to Bluetooth straight into it. So from that point, it doesn't need a loop. It will go straight into the cochlear implant. The hearing loop, I had issues with this with a chap based in Leicester. I tried and tried and tried, but because the loop wasn't picking up as a certain system, OrCam wouldn't recognize it. I believe on some systems, and I think it's expensive loop systems, it will actually recognize it as a speaker system. But with the ones I tried, it wouldn't pick up. Now, my mum's hearing aid, she's got ridiculously expensive ones, £4,000 odd ones, and hers Bluetooth straight into it. I tried it on hers. I used her as a test dummy at first. And hers, it Bluetoothed into hers without an issue. Reading across tables, do you know what? I still don't know if they actually implemented that in the end, because from the beginning, it wouldn't actually read across because it'd pick everything up as a column. Now, I don't know if Tony just wants to stick in the chat, if he's still there, if they actually...
Yeah, and maybe while we're doing that, Donald Digan has another message in the chat. He says, "I'm struck by the implication this device has for orientation and mobility. Could you comment?" So, yeah, I suppose that the potential of using this with a mobility aid when you're out and about.
The thing is with this is, like I mentioned, I mean, I guess a mobility aid could be a guide dog, or any. I mean, it's hands free. You don't need your hands for it. If you needed to touch the side, you can touch the side. I mean, what I've generally done with this when I've been out with people, because I've been out and about in the streets with people with dogs, with canes, with everything, and I've made sure that it's been Bluetoothed into an earbud just in one ear, so you're not restricted in any way, shape, or form. Am I getting the right end of the stick with this, or am I? Is that what he means, Stuart?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's just the idea of how it could be used in conjunction with mobility aids. One of the things, Donald, that might be interesting, and somebody low vision who worked with me at the National Council for the Blind commented on this last time. Now, she was making the point that for people with low vision who can see something in the distance, you have enough vision to see where to point the OrCam. So she was talking about going into the deli in her local shop and seeing the specials on the board. And up to now, she could see the board and vaguely make out something, but she didn't know they were the specials. And when she pointed OrCam at them, she could see the specials. I think in the same from a mobility context, where there is maybe a bus stop and you want to read the numbers of the bus that stop at that stop. So I think people with very low vision have had interesting experiences using OrCam in those kind of scenarios. Maybe if Tony is here, he might talk about that. I'm not sure. And Michael just had a message on the chat. He says, "How long does the battery last?"
Constant use, you'll probably get about 1 hour and 20 minutes out of the battery. The bonuses for this, though, it's a 40-minute fast charge. So as I mentioned earlier about if you are out and about, it is advisable to take a portable battery pack with you. Now, if you have space for it, I mean, you can leave this in a coat pocket, the battery pack in the coat pocket, and have the cable connected while you're out and about. There's no reason why it can't be plugged in. It does work whilst it's still plugged in. So it's not like it has to go into suspend mode to save power. Just plug it in and use it. So you, in theory, you could have an unlimited usage time for it.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that, Karl. Anybody else who has comments, you're welcome to type in the chat, or you're welcome
Mary
to...
put her hand up.
Oh, Mary, okay.
Again, I'll get it, mate. Hang on.
Hi. On the O&M side, you might be using it rather in the way you might use a monocular and teaching it in a similar way, but it depends whether it's recognizing text like a street name or, as you say, a bus number coming or a bus number and timetables in the bus shelter, but it's not going to be able to tell you turn right after the post box.
No, there's no directions or anything. It is literally a text.
Yeah.
The basic one is literally just a text reader. There's no GPS or any ability to tell you where to turn.
Although it's something that could be included eventually.
To be honest with you, the way mobile phones are nowadays, it's kind of probably be too much to actually put into a device like this when you've got a mobile phone or apps on mobile phones now that.
Yeah, I think if that was to be included in a device like OrCam, there would need to be some kind of, mobile 3G or 4G functionality built into it, because.
Yeah. But for people teaching O&M, thinking of it like you try to learn to teach a monocular would give people more of an idea of how they could then teach their clients how to use it in a similar mode.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really difficult. Hang on, and what's Anthony's just put his hand up.
And I just want to, while Anthony's doing that, I just want to read a message from Rebecca Woods, because I think it's really interesting. She says, I'd be interested to hear how people with far less functional vision could use this. So for a person with no vision, the main challenge is positioning the text in the right place in front of the camera. And as someone who has no vision, and I've talked to Tony about this before, and I'm sure Tony won't mind me saying this, that I think for somebody who has no vision and who has been born blind, this is probably very challenging. But I think people who have no vision and who have had vision previously have much better spatial awareness. I mean, my spatial awareness is useless, so OrCam probably for me would be a challenge to use. I think it depends on how you can conceptualize space and how you can work out where an object or where something is in relation to where your head is pointing. But I don't know if Tony might want to comment on that or not.
Sure.
Sorry, Tony, to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. In fact, there was a couple of questions that I was going to come back to. I apologize, I can't remember the names of the people that asked them. But earlier there was a question about hearing aids, Karl, that you addressed. I just wanted to point out that hearing aids typically use a non-standard, unique version of Bluetooth. Each hearing aid manufacturer uses their own interpretation in order to make loop connections. The OrCam will work with some of them and not with others. Obviously, we can't support every single one because they're not standard. And also the way that you connect the device to the hearing aid Bluetooth changes from make to make. You usually have to go through some elaborate open the battery case, close the battery case while you're holding the power button and all this sort of thing to make it connect to a remote Bluetooth device. What we've done in the past is pointed people towards their own audiologist, and in most cases they've been able to make that connection. There was a question about column reading. We had to decide early on in the design of the device whether to read columns or not. And the compromise was that we wanted people to be able to read magazines and newspapers easily. And so we designed the device to recognize columns. As Karl also mentioned, if you're reading a newspaper, it knows that stories go down in a column, and it doesn't try to read across 4 different stories on the page. But that does mean that if you've got information going across the page, like on a bank statement, it would read down all the account detail first, and then all the debits, and then all the credits, because it treats those as separate columns. That was a deliberate compromise that we had to make. And most of our users find a way around that by maybe folding the papers so that the columns become closer together or whatever. In terms of orientation, the device doesn't connect to any sort of navigation capability. Most of those don't only require a more powerful processor, but also a connection to a satellite or at least to the cloud to reference mapping information. So on the device as it is today, it doesn't have that ability. But it will let you read the numbers of buses and things. And as Karl also mentioned, because it's a standalone device and doesn't need to connect to the internet, you can be stood at a bus stop in the middle of the countryside at 11 o'clock at night, and you can point to the number on the front of the bus in front of you, and it will tell you what that number is. And in terms of people with no vision, Karl mentioned two ways of using the device already. One was by tapping the side of it, in which case it will read everything on the page in front of you, or you can refine the control of what you want to read with the gesture mode. So if you point your finger and move it away relatively quickly, it will read the whole page. If you point your finger and hold it a little bit longer, it will read from exactly where your finger is pointing. Now, for somebody with no vision, that's not so useful, but it does have a function, a third way of operating it, called automatic reading. And in automatic reading, whenever it sees text, it will just read it to you. Now, if you were walking around a supermarket, that obviously would drive you a little bit crazy, right? Because it will be reading every sign and every product that it sees on the shelf. So you can program very easily a little delay into it of your choice. Typically, people use 2 seconds. And what that means is you have to stare at something for a couple of seconds to indicate that that's what you want to read. So if you're in the supermarket, it means it's not talking to you all the time. But if you stare at something for a little while, then it will start reading it to you. Now, again, if you were completely blind and you were trying to read let's say a letter, let's say you had a personal letter, you wanted to read it yourself. So you open the letter, you hold it in front of you. After a couple of seconds, it starts reading the whole thing. Now, you might not be interested in all the address and reference and date information at the top of the letter, but you can use the other function that Karl mentioned, which is sliding your finger either forwards or backwards along the side of the unit. And each time you do that, it will jump forwards or backwards a couple of lines at a time through the text. So you start reading the letter, it starts to read the date and stuff that you're not interested in. You slide your finger a couple of times, and it effectively lets you navigate to the main body of the text that you're interested in. Same if you're reading an email on the screen of your laptop. By default, the device would capture all the information on the screen, but you're not interested in all the Microsoft menu stuff. You just want to read the main body of your text. So you slide your finger, and each time you do that, it moves down a couple of lines when you get to the text that you want to listen to. Okay?
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome. Sorry, I got carried away there. I answered a lot of questions in one go.
No, that's extremely useful insights. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments people have? You can type them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. And we'll get to you.
There are quite a few hands raised, but I don't know whether they'll raise.
I think some were.
Bear me a second.
I didn't lower all the ones I dealt with. Sorry. My hand lowering skills are not what they should be.
I can't. Roger, you might have to unmute yourself.
Yep, I should be unmuted.
We got you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A couple of things in there. I listened to the videos about the OrCam, and it said instead of saying it used the nail bed, it said it used the finger bed. I don't know if that's the same thing, but I found that it works as long as I point in any capacity at something. It reads.
Well, to be honest with you, I've always said about the finger, if somebody can get the finger, I mean, it does need to see something. I mean, if you held your fist up, it wouldn't recognise it.
Yeah.
So it is still using, I mean, it's like I say, I've always tried it with a fingernail.
Yeah.
And even got someone using, believe it or not, a witch's plastic fingernail to try and get it to actually pick it up.
Yeah, but, you know, it's just, I found, you know, if I point in any form, it seems to work. But also with the time gesture, I can't get it to work on my left wrist, but it always works on my right wrist.
That'll be where the camera's based on your eyes. And don't get me wrong, you've got it working. Yeah. I've sold it for 3 years, 4 years, and still I can only get it to work one time out of 500.
Oh, okay. It's just, I found it quite strange because most people like me would wear a watch on their left hand.
It is about getting the arm around in front of you, because obviously with your right hand and the camera being on the right hand side, it's going to see the arm gesture come up right in front of you. Yeah. Whereas if you're doing it with your left hand, if you're not either turning your head far enough round to the left for it to see the gesture, or you're just not bringing your arm round enough, it's not going to see it. Yeah. So what it might be worth trying to do is turn your head right round, or try and bring your arm round as far as you can, just to see if you can actually get it to work.
Yeah. Not happening at the moment. No, never mind. But it's one of those things, I guess it comes with practice. And then there was a couple of questions actually as well. Mine's come with the lanyard, but I've got no idea how to attach it. Right. Any advice?
Being blind yourself, it's not the easiest thing to do. And if I'd have known, it's so weird for us to actually ship them out rather than hand delivering them, you see. And obviously my head's not in the right place, because generally what I'd have done, I'd have got them to attach the lanyard prior to shipping. Yeah. Now, at the end of the device, by where the power, where you plug it in, there is a tiny little black piece of metal that pulls out away from the device.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can feel it. Yeah.
That lifts up a couple of millimeters away, giving you just enough space to feed the lanyard under. What I would recommend, if you are going to do it, is on the end of the string, part of the lanyard, the last centimetre or so, bend it back on itself and compress it down in between your fingers. And what that will do is it'll create a bit of a right angle. So when you feed it through, it actually makes it a lot easier to pull it back through and connect, and to push the cable back through on itself.
Okay, okay, thanks for that one. And also, I was wondering, will the API is the API or a public API available for the OrCam?
That's one for Tony, I would think.
Yeah.
It would be, because I don't actually know what that means.
the language to write the right code
the application
for it.
I suspect not.
No, it's all proprietary hardware and software, and we don't sub-license any of the character recognition or operating system. It's all developed. It's all code developed in-house.
Yeah, I wasn't asking to in terms of like to actually access the software, but I mean, but can we get? Is there access to a public API so I could write applications that could work with that software?
Not at the moment.
No.
We've we do have the apps which we've developed ourselves, and we're continually developing those and looking at them. Of course, that also gives us access to a lot more processing capability in the phone. So yeah, it's a really good question actually, and I don't know the answer. I don't know whether it will eventually be available, but I'll certainly take that as feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, gents.
Thanks,
there was one thing. Carl, every so often, sounds just like the comedian Greg Davies.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, okay.
All the time, just every so often. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite every time. Yeah.
He's a good comedian. If you want to change career, Carl, you could do worse.
No, you've got to have really good memories to be a comedian, and trust me at delivering jokes, I am the worst there has ever been. Just being generally stupid and funny, yes, I can do that quite easily. But the other part, not so easy.
Okay. Anybody else who has questions? I know there were, I think a lot of the hands who were up were previous queries.
I'm not sure. Hang on 2 seconds. Andrew, did you have a question? I can't unmute him. Oh.
Sorry, I have a question. It's Fatty here.
Hi, Fatty.
Fatty.
Hi, sorry again, really, I have a lot of questions. It's wonderful, fantastic.
Hi, Carl.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, go on, sorry.
Oh, thank you. Two quick questions. Number one is, does OrCam recognize languages? Say if we travel abroad, for example, to France or Germany, whatever. Does it recognize languages and translate it to English or not? Number one. Number two, we seems to drop a lot of things sometimes on the floor, and as myself, I'm totally blind really, and sometimes it's hard to find it. Does OrCam can find these you know, things dropped on the floor? That's
So
all.
okay. So does OrCam switch languages, read foreign languages, and then can OrCam, I suppose, help you if you drop something?
Drop something on the floor somewhere outside in the house.
The OrCam will only help if it's got printed text. With regards to switching languages, it comes with French and Spanish and English already pre-installed. So what it'll do is, if it does see a Spanish document or a French one, it'll start reading it, and it'll read it not with, like me doing an Englishman reading something Spanish. It does actually change the voice completely into a Spanish or French.
Oh, like Jaws, yeah.
Yeah, with a multi-language, you'd have to buy a specific language version of it. So if you wanted it in Arabic or Hindi or Greek or Turkish or whatever, you'd have to buy that specific language device.
And how much to buy the language? Specific
No,
language?
it'd have to be a unit specially supplied, already pre-installed.
So I suppose it would have to be set up for that language.
Yeah, we can. I think I'm sure Anthony might correct me, but as far as I'm aware, I think I managed to sell a French one years ago, from the original one to literally go out to France for a lady who lived in England's mother, and we had to, before they'd put the multi-language in, we had to buy a specific French-speaking unit, and they were not easy to get hold of.
And finding stuff cannot do it.
It'll only see stuff that's written. I mean, you can with the more expensive one, you can put in products with it, but I mean, recording and saving multiple different things, then you're going to have to be scanning around to try and locate them. To be honest with you, I'd say it wouldn't work for what you'd actually need it to do.
Yeah, and of course it'll be the one time that the thing you drop is not pre-recorded in OrCam. So it wouldn't, yeah.
What about if it's recorded like a bank card, for example, you know?
The problem is knowing, is having a fact. I mean, if you touch the side of the device, it opens up a field of view, so it does have a wide range of view. But depending on, obviously, like the size of a bank card, is it going to see it from 6 feet down to the floor?
Yeah.
This is the problem with it. You've got no guarantee. So I've just been attacked by a wasp. Yeah, you've got no guarantee that it's actually going to pick up what's there. So I, to be honest with you, without cutting out anything, I'd say no.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers, Fatty.
Thanks very much.
Go ahead, Andrew. You should be clear now.
Okay, then, Carl. Thanks again. What it was, it was to answer a question that a lady had about GPS. Apart from mobile phones, has she thought of, I know I shouldn't probably mention this product, buying the Victor Reader Trek that has a GPS system in it?
Yeah, no, it's true. Or pretty much any mobile phone there is on the planet now, where you can just put in a map. You can just
apart from the mobile phones, there is the Victor Reader Trek that has GPS, that you don't need a Wi-Fi or data plan. It comes out from the sky. It takes the signal from the sky.
To be honest with you, with the mobile phone, it uses GPS to find the route.
Do you not have to have a data plan?
No, because GPS is a completely different signal. It's not sent the same way. GPS is a location signal. So anything that runs via a GPS, it's like having a satellite phone. Obviously, they run off satellites, but using different things to locate your GPS positioning, it's run off a completely different system than what your 3G, 4G, or Wi-Fi is.
Yeah, that's what the Trek uses. It uses a satellite from the sky, and it pinpoints where you are.
Yeah,
If, if you're
Is there-
already a mobile phone user, I'd say just put an app on your phone and use it that way. If you are looking for something more specific, then yes, there's always the option. But I mean, I don't think they're particularly cheap.
No, but I got a dexterity problem where I find using fingers on a mobile phone to find out places or turn corners, I find the Trek that I bought is more beneficial to me.
Oh no, definitely. I think it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Yes.
It's what's not necessarily perfect for someone else, maybe for someone. So yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, you'll buy things that suit your needs.
Yes.
And that's it. And I don't blame you for doing it, because whatever can make your life easier, then you're going to do.
Okay,
Yeah,
and we've a message.
I can wear the Aftershocks Bluetooth headphones, and I can still hear things around me.
Gary Ellis, we've a message from Gary Ellis, who suggests Blind Square on the iPhone, if that's any use, and I would agree. Good up.
We have got Rebecca that's asked a question.
Yeah.
Rebecca's come on and asked, are you unable to hand deliver them, or would you consider using rovers as train couriers with permission from the customers? At the minute, Rebecca, I don't know what permissions they have with regards to going into everyone's homes. The only reason we're not hand delivering them is the social distancing. And to be fair, I don't know how soon that's going to be lifted. Probably not for quite a long time for us anyway. So what we've offered people is the option and the ability to do it over whatever, if they have any ability, like FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, or even over the telephone to help them and go through it. And we've offered unlimited, it's always unlimited support anyway. I mean, are the Rovies allowed out and about at the moment?
I'm not familiar with the rovers. Okay, for a person at risk, local voluntary services, social service can deliver items to people.
Are they allowed in though to then? Because I mean, to be fair, with hand delivering, it's not a lot. If they're not going to go in and set it up for the person, then it's no different from them actually getting it and taking it out of the box for themselves. Oh, well, there you go. See, then in that case, there is always an option. And I don't have any issues if you guys are there to assist the end user, not at all. So as far as I'm concerned, then yes, by all means. If it means, like I say, if it means the end user's getting more support, then yes. So maybe we need to have a chat about that. Possibly away from here and discuss options. I don't mind that at all. If you want it, I'll put my email address in here for you. If you want to drop me an email. If I can spell my own name. Yeah, drop me an email, Rebecca, and we'll have a chat. Yeah, definitely, that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely sounds good. Okay, if there are any other questions or comments, speak now. Otherwise, we're going to wrap the session up because we are almost an hour and a half into it, and I'm sure Karl would like a strong coffee.
Yeah, I've got golf booked for 5:45 as well, so I can't be too late tonight.
He's got golf. A question from Theo, friend of the Webinar Wednesday crew as well. Does OrCam connect to the internet? So it connects over Wi-Fi. That's for software updates, isn't that right, Karl?
Yeah, purely for updates, yeah, nothing else.
So Theo, you connect with a QR code that will give OrCam your wireless information, and that's all explained in the documentation as well. Okay, so thank you everybody. Thanks to Karl for a really great session. I think we've all learned a lot about OrCam. Thanks to everybody for your engagement and attendance today. Don't forget, next week it's social distancing, all about social distancing with our panel. We've got a great panel of people attending next week. And and I think you'll find that interesting. You can register for that session right now, and we'll be back next week at 2 o'clock. So from Karl and Stuart, goodbye and thanks a million.